Welcome to Tonetalks. Welcome to Tonetalks.
And so what I want to do is frame this thing for everybody. Is Yvette there? Yvette Carnell, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to be on the show together all this hour. Yvette, you want to say hello to the audience?
Hey, family. Hey, Tonetalks family. Hey, Breaking Brown family. What's going on, people?
Oh, we here talking hustle talk. Bitcoins, Uber, Herbalife, and Black financial escapism. You know, Yvette, you did a show this week on Bitcoins. But we're going to go a little further because what I think is happening is people don't know enough. They don't know enough of people. They don't know enough about investment. And they're not aware of this coming reality of a post-tax reform America. You want to say anything before I go forward? I only read the first question so far.
No. Keep going.
All right. So let's keep going through these questions. Again, this is the Tone Talks, the real discussion. Why is Black America hooked on hustle talk? Is that going to get us through? So many of us don't understand. You know, it's a trip because my circle goes from Byron Allen to Freeway Rick and Dope Money. From Byron Allen, and basically, you know, he put out that shark movie that y'all saw, 47 Meters. Only black man that could put a movie in theaters. To Freeway Rick and what he did with crack cocaine. And then everything in between, including economists like Thomas Shapiro, William Darity. And it's just interesting because I got to hear people talk about $3 into a Bitcoin as the answer for systemic racism. I got to hear people talk about all these black wealthy people that exist when I know the numbers to a T. Top 5% of black families worth $350,000 all in. Top 1% barely worth $1 million, and they only in like 3 or 4 cities, and that's their house. But we talking like we big time investors and we can gamble it all away. Yvette, you want to say anything? I'm gonna keep going on once you finish.
Well, no, I think one of the most interesting things that happened after the show is the reaction of people to the show that I did on Bitcoin. And the reaction to people to the show was like, well, you just being negative. You just being negative about black people. And the truth of the matter is, I'm not being negative about the data that you just showed is negative about the wealth positionality about black people. This ain't about how you feel. This isn't about what you have in pride. I just had somebody online tell me, well, Yvette, don't dumb us down. I'm not dumbing you down. In contrast, I'm telling you that you need to be doing the math as opposed to giving me this pep talk about Bitcoin and all this other stuff. Answer some very specific questions for me. When are you going to get out?
No, and Yvette, no, answer another question. Are you late on your bills? The thing is, I don't think that I have been clear to this point about what the middle family being worth $4,000 looks like. It looks like you're late on every bill by 30 to 60 days, and you're trying not to get to 90 because they cut your stuff off at 90. It looks like you haven't paid your student loans in years. This is what it looks like. And I think we created a narrative where as long as I'm driving a car that isn't more than 4 years old and I can get some pollo on this EBT, I'm middle class. And none of that is true. You got to understand where you live. And my problem right now is I'm dealing with people who don't know where they live. They don't know the data of the basic tenets of their own neighborhood, city, or nation. Tax reform just got agreed to. They're going to sign it on Tuesday. Y'all can wait and hope they don't. And that'll be the end of them big refunds. And we'll see how the hood look like after that. And I just come back to it. Let me keep going on these questions. Let's get it. Thank you so much for Dilla. Dilla09 just said, let's get it. Please use the super chat in my YouTube. And also, can you please donate to this channel with super chat and share this on different pages? Press the thumbs up button if you can't do nothing else, because it gets it active on the internet. We're going to have this discussion. I don't want to have no fanatics in here. You know, I don't want to have nobody with half a Bitcoin that's going to tell us that he's an expert and just started 2 months ago. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, the second question is Bitcoin a real investment for the middle black family, when they're only worth a few $100s liquid? Does a family literally with light money get to invest? You know, what do you think, Yvette? Is investment?
Well, what first you have to define what investment is. Like, first you have to define, we got to talk about disposable income, we got to talk about discretionary income, and we got to talk about if you need this money to eat off of, you're not in a wealth position to be an investor. You're not in a wealth position to be an investor. If you need this money to eat, you're not in a position because you can't be running around. You can't be obsessing over your cryptocurrency all day.
I see a lot of obsession. I got $15 worth of something. I think it's a Bitcoin, and I keep checking.
Is it an Ethereum coin?
No, they made it. It's
no,
it's none of them. It's another one they made last week, and I'll keep checking it every 10 minutes, as if that's going to change my life instead of doing politics, understanding tax reform, understanding hookworms in Alabama, understanding bad water in Flint. What I'm going to do is Bitcoin my way out of blackness. And none of that's going to work. Tone Talks here to tell you that. And I got Yvette Carnell with me to kind of parse this thing out for the ladies. And I think that I'm going to move. This isn't just Bitcoin. This isn't a referendum on Bitcoin. This is about black escapism, black financial escapism. And so the next one is Herbalife has faded after FCC regulations of transparency. So the FCC came in and they said, you got to explain to people, you got to show certain things. And when the FCC came in, they said, my question is to you, how should we look at people in our circle, our immediate circle, that sold us on this Ponzi scheme, which is what it seems to come out to be? We broke, but at least we in shape, Yvette. What you think about Herbalife?
I saw somebody's profile the other day that still had a Herbalife. Like, I work for Herbalife. And I was just like, you don't even know enough to take that down. You don't even know enough to know that that's a Ponzi scheme, and it's been found to be like this just trying to hustle us over a Ponzi scheme. And you don't know, I should take this down. Like, how do you not know? And so that's my question when we come to Herbalife, when we come to Bitcoin. I'm not the person trying to be negative. I'm the person in your ear saying, do you know what you're doing? Do you know when you're going to get out? What's the criteria for getting out? When do you think, is it a bubble? When's the bubble going to pop? So all these questions you should have answered for yourself. You should have already answered those questions for yourself.
Yvette,
and if you
being
had
so
answered those
negative
questions for yourself, you wouldn't be mad at me.
Yvette, you're being so negative. Just believe.
All the time.
Just dream. That's what they tell you, right? That's not an investment to believe and dream, and you don't. The thing that's so interesting about this whole thing, and I framed it, being around Rick, this is somebody who had real bread. Other side from Byron, somebody who had real $1 million in a duffel bag bread. And so it's interesting because I use this example on your show. Rick put up the initial bread for Anita Baker in a duffel bag. Problem though, when you talk about ownership, possession is only one part of a bundle of rights. Possession, right of sale, right to transform it. With Bitcoin, you don't have none of that stuff. And let's give the last one, which is another one, is enforcement rights. Somebody come in and your $300 that's under your pillow gets taken, you can call the LAPD. If your Bitcoin's in Iceland, how do you call the police? I think.
Well, you know what they say. Somebody told me, most of the Bitcoin that we use in America is in San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
Don't know enough about it. It's in San Francisco.
It's such a trip. I read an article just like this yesterday, actually, and I sent it to you, and I posted it. You can go check it out on my Facebook, Antonio Moore. And what it showed is a guy who used his last money to invest in Bitcoin. He's a disabled man here in California, and they stole his $22,000. Stole it. He thought he was talking to customer care, and they took the code, and his money is gone. His account has $5 now. And I just feel like in America, what you can do in America is trace that with real American, like, wired money. In America, what you can do is call the FBI. With Bitcoins, and let's deal with.
No, go further than that. If it's fraud, the bank will refund your stuff.
Yes.
We got fraud protection. They'll refund it and catch the people. Like, we're going to put this money back in your account, Miss Carnell, and we're going to go find out who did what.
Yvette, my uncle Leroy on the couch that's been studying this for the last 4 months, he told me different.
Leroy?
Yeah. Leroy Johnson. You might look him up. He's a cleaner and a painter. And he told me different. He said, Bitcoin is the next wave. We need to get in now while it's low. 15,000 a coin. So, ain't that something, Yvette?
And since we didn't get in low, what's happening for the most part is that people are going with Bitcoin and all these other coins. But how do you even know? Like, I understand that people think this is Johnny come lately. Yvette just started listening and talking about Bitcoin. No, I remember Silk Road. I remember all of that. And I remember it was like we were talking about black market currency. That's what it was kind of intended for. So I'm not going to tell you it's not going away. What I'm trying to tell people is that people don't understand what all affects an investment. You're talking about if you want Bitcoin to become a legitimate currency, what you're talking about is being a currency investor. And what we're seeing is that nobody knows how this is going to go. So some people were saying they're going to trade on the futures and the derivatives people going to eat them up. Okay, then they came back. Now they're going to trade it on NASDAQ or something. So it's kind of being normalized. But then Janet Yellen comes out, and we would expect her to say this because she's the Fed Reserve Chair, but she's also the outgoing chair, right? So she's like, it's not a legitimate currency. It's not a legitimate currency, and it's speculative. You got to know what that kind of signals in terms of the position of American regulators right now and what that might mean for your Bitcoin or your cryptocurrency.
Yvette. You dealing with people that use scratch-offs. This ain't a far step from that. You won't regulate no scratch-off. You don't figure out how many times I'm winning and how many times I'm losing. We got some callers, Yvette. I want to take this caller. Let's go to the next call. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
St. Louis.
No, what's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Terrence. I'm calling from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, Terrence.
Am I in queue?
Yeah, you can go ahead, Terrence. Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, I just want to talk about, y'all laid out a lot of different types of hustles, the Herbalife, the Bitcoin and everything. But one thing I think was left out was the nonprofit industrial complex. And that's what's going on where I live in St. Louis. Broke black people are really bought into the whole concept of not that I can start a for-profit business, but a nonprofit. And a lot of people are relying on that for basic income. They are doing outreach, but their lack of knowledge and information as far as how to get the real grants really limits them. So it becomes another hustle.
Terrence.
And so many. Go ahead.
Terrence, I want to say thank you so much for calling. I appreciate that call. I think there's so many different kinds of hustles going on. And those hustles are basically feeding us a false narrative about where we're at and where we're going. Yvette, I'm going to take another caller. I'm going to let you answer this one. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Todd Barker. I'm calling from San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay, Todd. You want to give us your opinion on this?
Just in reference to Bitcoin, I mean, I think in general what some of these appointed celebrities who are trying to be political in a false way to black people is that they're really not explaining what capitalism is. Capitalism is about winners and losers, and nobody's being honest about that to the black masses. When you see somebody win in capitalism, if they score $1 million or $200 million for a company, there are losers. And it's a shame that we have celebrities and black people out there who aren't really being honest about that, about saying that the reason you can see losers in capitalism come back is because maybe they have some generational wealth. And until the black masses understand that capitalism is about winners or losers, or what Yvette Carnell talked about on Breaking Brown is about eating people's dreams, we're basically fooling ourselves and staying within that realm of capitalism, and hence Bitcoin. You see black people trying to get excited about Bitcoin. You have a professor on another YouTube channel who's excited about Bitcoin, but that professor is not explaining that capitalism is about winners and losers, and that's what we have to accept. And until we don't accept that, we're going to stay in this veil of false hope.
Caller, we got to start calling people out. What professor are you talking about?
Boise Watkins.
Okay.
When I hear him, and I know he's, because it comes down to, it's not about that you can't still be entrepreneurial, okay, but you have to be honest. You have to say, hey, if I'm going to step into this game of capitalism, where's my team? Where's my attorneys? Where's my lawyers? Where's my security people that are going to help me protect what I have? Because I work in the intellectual property. Okay, and it's all about eating people's dreams and seeing what attorneys and people are doing with people who innovate and so forth. All Black people, even when we go to college,
caller. This is we got to break this up some. I appreciate you calling in. I got people calling on the line. This is what I want to do. I want to let Yvette Carnell jump in here. What did you think about what the caller just said?
Well, it's true. It's true. Like, you have to have, that's why when you and I talk about wealth, what we always talk about is there has to be a web of wealth. Remember we talked about Bill Gates, having a parent who was in, I think it was his dad who was in intellectual property attorney or whatever, who was in IP. That's the person that teaches you how to steal and teaches you how not only to steal other people's intellectual property, but teaches you how to maintain your own. You have to have a web of people that protect you because it's war out there. So you have to have, if you out here, but you got a Bitcoin and you're telling me the only thing separating me from this coin is this pass key I got. That's not enough in a world of capitalism. And I think
Yvette, let's go a step further. That's not enough for a Black person in capitalism. What I want to do right now is take one more caller, and then I'm going to play a clip from you. And that clip is going to have Byron Allen talking about Coretta Scott King and talking about being locked out of wealth in his lawsuit. It's going to be about 2.5 minutes long. Let's take this caller first. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Scotty from Columbus, Ohio.
Scotty, give us your opinion on this.
I actually wanted to talk about net neutrality. That happened this week.
Yeah, caller, I appreciate you calling in. I might cover that next week. But right now, we just talking Bitcoins, Herbalife, and just this hustle talk that is undergirding Black community. Did you have an opinion on that? I totally understand if you don't.
It's the only thing I could pretty much say is we always fall easy for the tricks. I mean, it's just pretty much like I think we're a lot like the general populace where they feed us these like fake dreams to reach for, like the American dream. So that's not surprising to me.
So what we're going to do right now, Yvette, you're going to stay on the line with me through this show. We're going to play a 2.5 minute clip of billionaire Byron Allen talking about Black wealth to me during the interview.
She shared with me, hey, Byron, as Black people, we have 4 major challenges. Number 1, end slavery. Number 2, end Jim Crow. And me personally, I think Jim Crow was as damaging or more damaging than slavery because over 100 years, laws on the books designed to shut Black people down, to make sure Black people got absolutely nothing. She said, number 3, achieve civil rights. And number 4, the real reason they killed Mon Martin, and I'll never forget those words as long as I live. Number 4, the real reason they killed Mon Martin, achieve economic inclusion. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, let me just break it down. We're nothing more than modern day slaves living on a modern day plantation. And that's when, and it was that speech, The Other America, that broke it down when Martin Luther King said, what does it matter if I have the freedom to sit at the lunch counter as my white counterpart and I cannot afford the same hamburger? And it was then that I realized the matrix, which is, hey, as African Americans, primarily, we do not have access to a real education. You do not have access to jobs. You do not have access to opportunity. We do not have access to capital that is not predatory. So now what does that leave you? That leaves you in an environment where we're surrounded with drugs, gangs, guns, alcohol and bullets. You are surrounded in a war zone. You're living in a war zone, and basically this is economic genocide. This is what we are witnessing, economic genocide. We are positioned to die. We are positioned to kill. We're positioned to be killed. Thus all the violence, because that's what you're going to get, speaking to the mass incarceration, when we don't have access to a proper education, capital that's not predatory, jobs, mentorship, and just opportunity. So Black America, we're not living the American dream, we're living the American nightmare.
So again, let me say this to everybody. I just want to make sure everybody understands who they're listening to right now. You're listening to one of the 4 Black billionaires, and he's just laying it out for you. And I think sometimes, people, just because they don't see your face on television, they don't know you in the same sense as Oprah, that they don't understand that you're really laying out the information. So that was Byron Allen, Black billionaire. Those people that don't know, he settled with AT&T for 7 channels, and he owned them 100%. It ain't like Oprah's questionable thing that we were talking about last week. Me and Yvette Carnell. Yvette, are you still there?
I'm here.
All right. So what I want to do is continue on, and I want to talk about this Herbalife thing. How should we look at somebody who sold us Herbalife now that we know it's basically our money's gone? They were sending out settlements. There was an article in the FCC that I shared on my Facebook that they were sending out settlement payments because people didn't get paid. They didn't get paid what they was promised for selling Herbalife. So how should we view that? Do we got to hold people accountable, Yvette?
Yeah, you got to hold them accountable. You swindled me. You brought this stuff into my home. I mean, understand that people be bringing this stuff to people's grandmama, people's mamas and daddies and stuff who really don't have no money, and saying you got to get into Herbalife. You got to do this, and this is going to be good, and this is going to do this, that, and the other thing. And then they don't get what they're supposed to get. You like swindle somebody's grandmama. You're not a good person. You're a desperate person. You're a desperate person. And desperation is dangerous.
And this is what the show is, hustle talk. I feel like Black folk don't even have the circle to have the discussion they talking about. Everybody is worth $5,000, maybe even less. I showed you the chart. I don't know what else I can do. I don't think they talking to somebody who's an economist. I have a new paper, economic research paper coming out with Sandy Darity. Went to MIT, one of the head professors in economics at Duke, and I'm doing an economics research paper with him about the 10 myths that could close the racial wealth gap. I'm sorry, Bitcoins is one of them. Bitcoins is for the sharks, and you a barnacle. And I think for a lot of us, you won't learn that till you got to take that money out. It's easy to put it in, hard to take it out. You look at Herbalife, and we don't hold all these fit people that sold us on the dream. See, anytime somebody walks up to you and says, got to show you a Lamborghini with the business plan, know that it's a problem. I don't need to be sold. Just tell me once. Don't be excited when you tell me. And if I choose to invest, I choose to. If I miss the boat, I miss the boat. And you'll just be a millionaire. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I don't think that's going to happen. I know too much about this. I have too many good friends that you need to really do your research on the people you have around you and understand whether they have the acumen, the background to give you that advice. You agree, Yvette?
Well, I agree, but let me just provide some context for that. I don't mind Bitcoins, but I do mind information and I do mind data. So that's the first thing I do when I get up in the morning. I go.
Wait, flesh that out. When you said mine, you talk about MINE, meaning go out and flesh out. Okay, go ahead.
So I get up and I go look at it. And so if I'm looking for a specific thing, I'm a target it, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. So I'm looking at this CNBC article, and they're interviewing this dude named Stanley Druckenmiller. He's a billionaire worth about $4.7 billion, runs this hedge fund. And they asked this guy, he's one of the most well-respected investors, on Wall Street. And they ask him, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin? And I just want you to hear what he says. He says, you see what is going on with Bitcoin? I don't own any. Obviously, as a trader, I should, but I only trade what I know. Bitcoin is like anything else. It's worth what people are willing to pay for it. That's what it's worth. What I do know about Bitcoin is the concept it could ever be a medium of exchange has been eliminated because you can't do transactions, particularly retail transactions, with this kind of volatility. Now, understand one thing. Some people say, well, you expect him to say that because Bitcoin is going to disrupt the market and you expect that. Yeah, I get that. But this person is telling you too. I don't know what's going on here. Like, I don't really understand, like, what this thing is and what it's supposed to be worth. And what I'm telling you is that there's a lot of people who on Wall Street who are just going to jump in and make money off of it, right? These are what we call the whales. They're the whales. They're going to make money, and they're going to steer the direction of the Bitcoin, and they're going to steer the direction of cryptocurrency. And if they get out, they're going to leave you holding your shirt. You have to understand that.
Yvette, can I ask you a question? If I got 3 coins, am I a whale or a fish, or am I just a barnacle?
You're a barnacle. 3 coins? What is that? They like, what are coins now?
I'm worth
like 15, 16,000?
Well, this is the problem, though, Yvette. God, look, 5% of black families in the whole country, out of all the black, is only worth $350, and those are old blacks. How many black people have 3 coins? We need to take some stock.
I don't know. Who got the whole coin? I don't know. Like, but there's so many currencies, monopoly money people. I don't know. How many black people? Anybody in the chat got 3 Bitcoins?
That's all I'm saying.
Somebody told me that this Trevor guy on YouTube gives away Bitcoins every day. 700 of them. Or some weirdness somebody told me.
Man, look here. What I want to do is I want to give the call-in number. Call in again, 323-879-4445. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your opinion on this. If you own Bitcoins, if you did Herbalife, you can call in. You can say, this wasn't a hustle. I got people fit. I didn't cheat nobody, even though nobody made money but me in this green Lamborghini I was driving that wasn't really mine. But I want to hear from you. You know, let's continue down the question list, and we'll go back up to Bitcoins. Can Uber driving at night, you know, Ubering and driving at night provide enough additional income to make black life make sense financially in America? Again, we're doing hustle talk. Uber, Herbalife, and black financial escapism. You know, labor laws came in and gutted all of the protections under Obama. Under Obama, labor laws were gutted when Uber was created. It's not a taxi service. It's a bunch of hitchhikers using the application. And I want to hear from you. I got a caller, Yvette. I'm going to take them in. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Yvette, what do you think about Uber?
I mean, I think Uber is, I think people are being forced into Uber because they don't have jobs. But I think they're being made to believe that Uber's a choice and I can set my own hours and all this stuff. You don't have any freedom in Uber. Actually, you're losing money. Now, if you have to lose money in order to eat right now, if you have to lose money in the long term to eat right now, I understand it. But don't think you're making money when you include all the costs that are associated with you driving and the risk that's associated with it. Just know that you're doing what you have to do. Don't tell yourself the lie that Uber tells you. You're not doing. You are not making money.
Yvette, like what I want to do is take. Our lines are heated up. So I'm going to take a caller down right now. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Maria from Seattle.
Maria, I love when you call in. Thank you so much. The return callers. Well, what's your take on this whole thing? Hustle talk. That's what we talk about.
I heard most of the show. Well, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they're like, basically, how do I explain this? We were talking about some girl's teeth that we knew, and she was losing her teeth because of bad health insurance and a drug addiction. And the guy said, well, if she just wishes for new teeth, they'll grow. And that's kind of how I feel. This Herbalife thing. Do you know what I'm saying? How I'm relating it to, like, we just find, like, escapism by, like, well, if we just dream it or talk it, like, Jay-Z will come into existence. And then hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
And then the people tend to say those things that are black, you know, came from the bump of when labor really mattered and stuff like that. And then to say it to millennial, like me or someone else, it's like, you're talking this magical talk, and you don't know what it's like to have a degree, can't use it, then drive Uber, sell Herbalife. And I know people have done that, and they're constantly stuck at zero.
Yeah.
And
Maria, I have to say I agree with you entirely. I think this has been a interesting discussion. You know, I'm gonna go to commercial break. I appreciate you calling in and giving your opinion every week. Thank you so much. Let's bring a song in and just let people sit on this.
Okay.
Get on. Beats by Neds.
What up? You back to Tone Talks the Real. You know, Yvette, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So everybody's been coming at me and coming at Yvette. Please talk about Bitcoins. I've been avoiding the discussion because I don't feel too good about it, but I know these people are fanatics. You know, and I just feel like, you know, in some ways I get investing and wanting more, but I don't understand blind, you know, scratch off type mentalities. And people say this isn't a scratch off. Well, you don't even know that this was actually set up to launder money and that you could possibly can get tied up in that. Yvette, can you speak to that? Actually, let me bring a caller in before you actually make your point. Caller, what is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Vicky from Boston.
Can I let Yvette, let me let Yvette make this point and then I'm gonna let you chime in. Yvette, can you speak to the money laundering like charge that you saw for somebody?
Yeah, that was early on. There was a guy who sold who sold a Bitcoin to someone who eventually sold a Bitcoin to somebody who used it to sell drugs, and they got caught up in it, and they caught a charge. You know, because when something's up in the air and our regulators haven't decided how they're going to regulate it, and it's looking like they're moving towards trying to regulate it in some way. If they haven't decided how they're going to regulate it, we don't know how it's going to fall. And I think that's the important thing. We don't know where this is going. I'm not telling you. I'm telling you that we don't. I'm telling you that I don't know. And I'm telling you, if this billionaire don't know, I know you don't know. You work a day job. You don't have enough time to be researching all these currencies, and you did it based on YouTube videos, and you're going to tell me. And then let me just say this before you go to the call. Let me just say one thing. The last time I saw black people get this excited about making money was when they were flipping houses right before the housing bubble bust. This is when black people get really emotional about a money-making thing, I get very, very, very concerned. Because you should be able to have a conversation with me without getting upset at me and being like, oh, Yvette, you just want to wait for the government. See, that's what's wrong with you. When you get that emotional and upset with me for just disagreeing with you or questioning you, are you sure? You know what you're... When you get upset with me about that, a red flag goes off in my mind.
Caller, again, what is your name? Where are you calling from? I'm going to let you make your point.
Vicky from Beantown, Boston, Mass.
Did you read the article? It gives such context. The article came out Boston Globe, and it's funny because it came from Sandy Dirty, my guy. You know, essentially he showed that the middle black family in Boston is worth $8 liquid. This was actually 2 years ago. I wrote about I wrote about the Los Angeles finding, which is that we're at $200 liquid. The reality is that people that have a whole city, and understand in the South it's probably worse. So you talking about Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. I know y'all look good, but your family's probably the middle family liquid is worth like $3 to $5, and y'all talking about Bitcoins. It doesn't make any sense. But I'll let you make your point, caller.
My point is, I did watch your video with Mr. Darity, and it was informative. I have to say that I did get caught up in the whole multi-level marketing scheme for years, and they sold me on my emotion, and that they know black people are broke as hell, excuse my French, and that they can get us on their emotion, but they can never explain to me how I'm going to become a millionaire. And once I got real with myself, I stopped being so emotional about things. And I only got real with myself when I decided to really take a good look at me and where I come from and what I can do differently. And you know what? I had peace of mind ever since.
See, this is the thing, caller, and I'm going to let Yvette chime in. Part of the reason I do this because I want to be able to inform you with what I know, with what I've mined, as Yvette put it, and give you a chance to make an informed decision. I'm not selling you on emotion. I'm not trying to sell you no T-shirt for being here. All I'm asking you is to tell me how this helps Black America and not just you. And I think for a lot of people, Bitcoin, Uber, Herbalife, they can't explain that. Yvette, you want to say something to the caller?
I'm sorry. I wanted to say one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Let us
It doesn't help the Black America. It doesn't help our community as a whole. It doesn't even help you individually because you're not going to get there. The people who the billionaires and millionaires off those companies, you would never see them. You're not going to become that. It's an emotional hustle because they know that the minute you wave $1 in front of us, we're going to run because we need to get out of the race that we're in.
Well, let's pause for a second. This is the thing that I would say back, though. That's why I said, Byron, we got to do this interview. You've told me too many times on the phone that there's economic genocide. Black America needs to hear it from a billionaire. And so you got to see, you can go watch the whole interview and watch him talk about being locked out. So while you sitting and talking about how Uber is going to feed your family, they just changed all the taxes around your family. Yvette, can you chime in?
No, I think you're right. I'm looking right now. There's a person in your chat room that says they're making $4,100 a month from Bitcoin.
Okay.
I mean, from crypto.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you, and I'm just trying to see. This is what we're hearing.
Yeah.
This is what we're hearing. And go to my channel and see proof. And then and I agree with her. They prey on your emotions because who doesn't want $4,100 a month? Right? Who doesn't want that kind of extra money? And then what they'll tell you is
Yvette, hold on. Let's do the math. 4,000 less 1,000 for your taxes, so it's 3,000 times 12 is $36,000 for the year. We listening to somebody who is making $36,000 for the year about $1 million investment. Ask me who's boo-boo the fool. And so, essentially, caller, thank you so much for calling in. You know, the phone lines have been hot. I appreciate everybody calling in, trying to get to us. I wanted to do this show a few weeks ago. I couldn't get here because I was talking about tax reform. I had Freeway Rick in, and now I'm here. And you could call in if you want to talk about your $4,000 and how you going to make it $6,000. I'll tell you, that's not big money to me. That's not the group I move with. So essentially, I don't want to hear from you. Do you got the guy who got you in because you don't know enough? And so, like, essentially coming back to Yvette Carnell, the other thing that I see is Airbnb. And before I get to Airbnb, we got another caller. Let's bring them in. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Bree from LA.
Oh, thank you so much for calling in, Bree. You want to give your opinion on this?
Absolutely. I just think it's absolute common sense. We live in a country that has worked for hundreds and hundreds of years to make sure that we don't get anything. So even if these hustles did work, we wouldn't be able to get them. So just the fact that if you can afford a Bitcoin and can work for Uber, you know it doesn't work. You should automatically be suspicious. Secondly, these types of jobs, you shouldn't even want to have them. First Uber and driving for Lyft is already costing you money, so it doesn't work. But even if it did, it's a crappy job. You shouldn't want it, and it's important for us to work within ourselves and get your self-worth up to know that you deserve better and you shouldn't even want to work these jobs. And when you get that, then that makes you upset and makes you want to ask for more from your government and anyone else around you and hold people accountable. Thank you.
Bree, thank you so much for calling in. I want to address some hounds I got in my chat room. I appreciate y'all being in there, but you got to know something. Like I said, I got a friend that got 6,000 Bitcoins. Get your weight up. So, like, if you really going to get into the Bitcoin game, you better get into the sharks and not be a barnacle. Because you a barnacle right now talking about, people are talking about $36,000 is a good side hustle. That's his job. This dude is checking his phone every 3 to 5 minutes about how Bitcoin is doing. It's not a side hustle. It's work. And essentially, you don't know what you really have till you pull it out. And what I'm hearing is that most people that are small are having real issues pulling this thing out. There was a tweet that I posted on Facebook, and it basically said this thing is so monstrous to pull out, it is a waste of time. Yvette, have you heard that too?
Yeah, well, they were talking about the transaction fees. Like right now, the transaction fees are really high. So in order to like use your bit, like you're spending much more money than you would if you would just use your dollars. So the ease of use isn't good. And when you're talking about a currency, you need that currency to be easy to use. Not only easy to use, easy to trade back and forth with other currencies. Now that people could say that may come in time, but that's also something that could crash. Like one of the things you have to do, I'm not telling you, people say invest just down on Bitcoin. I'm telling you that you need to look at all angles. Just stop. Don't. That's part of how you know when to leave any kind of investment is because you look at all angles. What we're just doing is looking at this stock and it's going up, and we're just looking at the up arrow. We aren't looking at the whole context of this investment that we've made.
Yeah, and I think so many people are on fire about this thing and don't know that this thing is really a black market kind of currency set up to launder money for people who couldn't use the dollar. And now we're using it as an investment, and we don't even know that this thing is attached to neo-Nazis, to drug dealers. You go to church on Sunday and you invested in a drug dealer or a neo-Nazi, and you marching at Black Lives Matter. You need to know where your wealth is. You need to. It's funny because the other thing that you noticed in the Byron Allen interview is he kept talking about inclusion. We need economic inclusion. So many black people I talk to talk about economic independence. How can you be economically independent when you own no land and you came from slaves recently? You jumped over inclusion. And then the thing is, because you don't understand inclusion, you don't understand that they shut the door so you can't be included. Going to Bree's point. The reality of what we kind of see, and this is what my point is we see a larger landscape of a raceless black America. I'll say it again, a raceless black America. I am investing as a neutral person with no race and no history and no consequence of that history. Would you agree, Yvette?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The consequence of that history is that I can't take, like, I can't take this really risky investment. Especially if, listen, let me tell you something. There are people who do currency investments and do every day of the year. That's their full-time job. You mean to tell me you work a 40-hour a week job and you have become an expert on cryptocurrency? But when I ask you questions about it, because you tell me you're an expert, when I ask you questions about it, you can't answer me.
You can't
give me a sufficient answer.
Yvette, you had two callers. You had one guy come in say, the business is in mining. The next guy said he don't know it. That guy don't know what he's talking about. You need to be buying crypto. Everybody's saying whatever they need to say to get you sold on that they know what they're talking about. And what I'm going to say is the last hustle that I want to mention is Airbnb. Everybody's saying, grandma, rent that extra room. My question is, how do you feel about your grandma renting a room to rotating strangers so she can make a little extra money? So basically she gives up her security for a little extra money. This is what's going on with capital. I want to take a caller. Caller, what is your name? Where are you calling from? The phone lines are hot. 323-879-4445. You can go to Dash Radio, press the Dash Talk app. Caller, What is your name? Where are you calling from? Well, Yvette, what do you think about that? Grandma renting the extra room.
No, they got us doing all this dangerous stuff to make money. Uber's dangerous. You out. You got weird people hitchhiking in your car. You got to be out late. You got to be going to places where you don't know where you're going. The same thing with Airbnb. It's dangerous, but they share us on this idea. Oh, it's the sharing economy. Yeah, you share your house with an ex-murderer. Like, and the thing is, it's certain stuff that's good. Like Airbnb is good for people who have a history of like renting stuff. So you have an extra house, and you have
not your main house. You know what I'm saying? So
for some people, it's very good.
You got to lock your bedroom so that other people can walk through your house. One of the things that's interesting is we lost senses of community. We lost senses of what's important, being able to sit on your couch and know nobody else sat on your couch. We lost senses of hustle talk has eaten away the core of what Black America needs to be a community. I don't care how I make my money. Neo-Nazis and all. Black Lives Matter. Come on, man. Bring the caller in. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Let's go to the next call. Caller, what is your name? Where are you calling from? Yvette, what do you think about Black America and where we're at and how this is rolling in terms of hustle talk eating away at us?
Well, we're so desperate we have tunnel vision. Look, I read an article earlier today where there was a regulator in Great Britain who said if you're investing in cryptocurrency, you just need to be prepared to lose all your money. That's just what it is. So you have all these regulators trying to hint at the fact that you need to be prepared to lose. This might be a bubble. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to think or what to do. I'm going to tell you, though, that you need to be taking into account what these people are saying. You just can't tell me that I'm being negative because I'm looking at all sides of this situation and I see the downside. Black people, we have a tendency never to see the downside. We're so full of hope. We don't look at the whole thing and make a grown-up assessment. It's like we act like kids sometimes with this stuff.
Yvette, but I'm making $3,000 a month doing this.
Oh, $4,100. Get it right. $4,100, he say.
I'm making $4,100 doing this. I don't care that it's neo-Nazis and that it's a black currency and that it don't got no protections and that's money in an account. Caller, let's take the next caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Okay, it's me, Dason Steam.
Are you in a bathroom, brother? Because we got a lot of echo.
No, I'm going out.
You're not going to be able to talk. You got to go somewhere where you can talk and it's not that much echo.
I'm good. I'm out the restroom.
Oh, man, you calling. That's what happens when you get a heated conversation. My brother was in the restroom. He said, some tone said, I got to get on this line. What is your opinion on this?
I got nothing. No. It's going to sound weird. I'm going to sound like I'm for Bitcoin. I'm not for Bitcoin. The problem with Bitcoin is it takes forever to making any kind of income. You're better off taking cans off the floor than to make it look. But seriously, to mine a coin using a regular computer, you cannot make a penny off of one day.
Oh my God!
You have to pay. You have to go a little.
Wait, caller. Can I ask you a question? So I can't be in Wisconsin in my mama's extra room and just plug up my mama's old. Come on, you breaking people's dreams.
A powerful computer for that.
Okay. I got a powerful computer. I went on eBay. I have the $4,000 computer.
No.
So caller, let me ask caller. Let's frame this thing. Yvette, you still there? I'm gonna frame this thing. We got black people in Alabama without septic tanks. And we talking about black people in Alabama doing Bitcoins in a house with no septic tanks. Does that make any sense?
Nope. It's not financially feasible. I kind of like cheap. And I did my research on like how the mining Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum works and all that.
This is a good talk, caller, and I appreciate you calling in.
Always, man.
You know, I just, I'm going to start moving towards the end of this thing, and I want to get back to Yvette before I let her talk about Breaking Brown. I won't be taking any more callers tonight. Yvette, can Black America survive its hustle talks, moral and financial impact on the community? Can we survive it?
No, because people keep telling me we can do two things at one time. Like people always say, well, Yvette, I can invest in crypto and still pay attention to politics. No, you can't. If you could, you'd be doing it. But we don't do it. We get obsessive. It's almost like we get like an obsessive tick. Like, you know, you ever see somebody has a little tick? Like, we get like this obsessive tick when we find something, whether it's flipping houses and real estate or whether it's crypto. When we find something that we believe is going to be an out and we're going to be that one person, we can't leave it alone. And we don't want to talk about anything else. We don't want to do anything else. I don't think we have it within us because we've been so robbed. It's not just our fault. We've been so robbed and we've been so locked out of opportunity. We're looking for any avenue. But what that creates is kind of like a reckless ambition where you just go after anything that looks like it's the next big thing. And if I say, hey, have you thought about this? Oh, what's wrong with you? You just negative. You a crab in a barrel. And and it's like, no, I'm telling you. Like, I'm telling you what the downside is. And you can tell them, now what you should come back to me and say, Yvette, you should say, Yvette, this is how I have mitigated those downsides. Aha, I see you, but I've mitigated that for myself. Tell me how you did that.
Yeah. You know, this is Tone Talks the Real. Everybody asked me to do this discussion today. You know, this is not just my opinion. This is something that my people, my 20-something thousand people came to me. Tone Talks, can you deal with this Bitcoin? Can you explain it to us? Should we be invested? And I just wanted to come to you today and start dealing with the reality of, again, Alabama that don't got septic tanks, don't got pipes to actually run their feces from their houses to a main infrastructure, and then telling those same people to mine Bitcoins in their house. To deal with the reality of a black America that has a few $100s to survive on and telling those people to put it in Bitcoins. I don't know if you can get it out, though. I don't want to step up and say, I know how to get it out and I'll help you get it out, because I don't know how to get it out myself. And I today was just the moment for us to kind of breathe, get it out of our chest, talk about black wealth, talk about American wealth, and just get informed. I appreciate discussion. Tone Talks the Real. Subscribe and donate at tonetalks.org. Thank you.